Hi and welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Netatmo Smart Outdoor Camera with a Siren. Now, 2020 has seen a lot of HomeKit cameras with various different new designs and models coming from various different manufacturers. However, Netatmo have taken an existing design and simply installed a Siren into it. The camera retails for $319 and it's available directly from the Netatmo. So continue to watch this video to find out how this camera performs and whether it's worth buying. Hi, welcome back. My name is John and this channel is dedicated to everything HomeKit news, reviews, and tutorials. So if you're not already a subscriber, hit the subscribe button and also the bell button to be notified when new videos come out. Now, before we get into the review, I just want to point something out. Netatmo did send this camera as a media loan. What this means is the camera is sent to us for review and testing purposes, but once we finished it, we send it straight back. Now, that will not influence this review in any way, and we'll tell you the good and the bad for this camera. So let's now move on to design and some of the initial features. The Netatmo camera looks identical to the previous version with a black rectangular design made of aluminium. On front of the camera, you find the LED floodlight, which takes up most of the surface. At the bottom, you find the unchanged 4 megapixel camera, which has got a resolution of 1080p. It also has the infrared and motion sensors built into the bottom. Around the rear of the camera is the power cable that needs to have a main power source. The camera comes with various different mounting brackets and all the relevant screws, along with fittings. Underneath the camera, you have a vented cover that can remove to expose the SD card. Netatmo includes a 16 gig, which is a bump up from the 8 gig from the previous version. As this is an outdoor camera, Netatmo has made this waterproof and weatherproof. Now, the camera is exactly the same apart from the inbuilt Siren. Now, this is built right inside the camera, so there's nothing obvious that this camera is any different to the previous version. Now, moving on to installation and setup. Setting up this camera, as I've already mentioned, is a little bit more involved than your traditional camera, such as the circle view, which is pretty much plug and play. And if you're fairly confident at changing electrical sockets or light fittings, then you should be good to go with this. You also need a power source, which you can change an existing floodlight out for this camera. Setup starts by fixing the wall bracket to the surface, which in my case required me to drill some holes. I then used the included cable ties to hold in place the camera while I connected the wiring, which I think is a really nice addition by Netatmo to include this, because it allows you to hook the camera on and install the wiring. The next step is to attach the camera to the mounting plate using a bolt and then position the camera in the desired location. If you have everything wired up correctly, the camera should flash on the front, and then this lets you know that everything is wired up. The next step is using the app to set up the camera. First, you need to download the Netatmo security app from the relevant app store. Once you've downloaded the app, the setup process is simple and fast. The app will search for the camera, and once found, will ask you to confirm some Wi-Fi settings. And once that's all done, you're pretty much good to use the camera. Now, the next bit is to set it up with HomeKit, and then you follow the instructions by simply pressing Add Accessory, and then the camera will then ask you to scan the code, and you'll go through the normal setup process by adding camera to the relevant zone or room and naming the camera, and then you simply finish. The camera is then exposed to HomeKit along with the floodlight. So let's now take a look at the app and some of the features that come with this camera. When you first open the Netatmo security app, you'll see a timeline of all events. The app gives an event of date and timestamp along with a symbol showing if it was a car, person, animal, or motion that has been detected. Clicking on the image will load the footage, and you can scrub through the footage to look at a certain point or just watch it all. Playback is smooth, and you can zoom into the recording to look at the event closer. You can also download clips for offline playback. You also can click on a clip to delete it or select Improve Detection. Now, this gives you the option to change the identification of an object. For instance, if the camera has detected a bin as a car, you can provide feedback to help improve detection performance. As with the previous version, the camera does not require you to have a subscription. The camera saves all the recordings to the 16 gig memory card, but you can also have the option to upload it to Dropbox or your personal FTP server. You have some more advanced options. By tapping the 3 dots in the top right corner, you can change things like monitoring, alert zones, and recording options. Monitoring gives you the option to turn the camera off or on. You can also have other options to rotate the camera, turn off the audio recording. You also can set up a code which you can use to enable or disable recordings. You also can customize the alert zone, and this is where you set alert zones for the camera to focus on. You do this by using your finger in the app like you do if you're cropping a photo. Although I did find it a little fiddly if you're doing it from the top, and it appears that the overlay is a little bit further up, especially when using the iPhone. At one setup, you'll only now be alerted for areas you've set up and ignore everything that is not. The other option is around floodlights. You get the option to set it auto, and you can also turn it off. And finally, you can turn the light on at will if you want to do that. If you've selected auto, you can decide which motion events that will trigger the light. If you have the option for always, it will simply set off when it detects any motion, but you also can set it for only for specific events. You also can change the intensity of the floodlight using the slider depending on your preference. You also have the option to activate the siren, and I'll speak more later on about the siren. You also have other settings, and this is tapping in the top left. The settings you want to pay particular attention to in this area are alert and recording settings. These settings are global for all your outdoor cameras, and you can set it so you can have different options for people, cars, animals, or other motion. You also can specify these times you want to receive the notifications. So for instance, if you want to stop notifications after you go to bed, you can do so. You also have the option of how it deals with deleting events. And you have the following options. You have 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, or never. Now this option will delete the oldest recordings as the card fill up. Just bear that in mind if you have got a recording you want to keep. You may want to save it to your phone. You also have other options in my product section that gives you the ability to download the setup QR code and also reset the camera. Now let's look at the camera performance and how it works. Now, as with the previous version, it's able to detect motion very well. It's also able to distinguish between a car, an animal, or a person, and didn't have to change the detection very often. Now, one of the things I did notice when it was detecting motion, it would have between a 20 or 30-second delay between the motion actually happening. So for instance, someone walking onto the field of view and the notification coming through to my phone. Now, as with the previous version, Netatmo has included a 12-watt light. Now, in my current version, I have this on the back garden and it lights up the area for when the dog goes out to do its business. On the front, it does a great job at illuminating that area in order to give extra light and coverage, especially when people are coming home at night. And I'm really impressed with it. I think it's a great feature on the camera. Now, the biggest upgrade for this camera is that it comes with a siren. Now, it's worth noting the camera does not automatically activate the siren if it detects motion or any other event. This all has to be done by the user, and it can be done one of two ways. The first way is if the camera detects motion, it will send you a notification through to your phone. And then if you want to activate the siren, you can do so. And you simply can activate it and deactivate it very easily within the app. If you want to activate the siren for any other time, when, for instance, you may be looking on the camera feed and you can see something that's not quite right outside, you can activate the camera within the advanced settings. Again, it's activated really quick. Now, I did find the siren was loud when I was stood outside. However, I just want to point out it's not as loud as, let's say, a house alarm. So it's certainly going to startle people, but it's not going to alert someone that's a fair bit away from your house that something's not right. Now, as with the previous version, the video quality is good. It's a 1080p 4 megapixel camera, and it works really well and gives you a reasonably good quality image. Now, the video quality at night is also reasonably good. However, sometimes, as with the previous version, the light would overexpose the image and it would look like a ghostly image. So you might not be able to make out on all occasions. Now, Netatmo has included a microphone, but there's no built-in speaker. Now, you can hear the conversations pretty well outside. However, it's not as good as some of the other cameras that I've used. And it's a real shame that Netatmo didn't include a speaker with this camera, as this would have been a great upgrade as well as the siren. So moving on to HomeKit support and how it works with HomeKit. Now, once you've set everything up and you get a live feed of what's going on, you can view the live feed. You can also listen to what's going on, and you can also assign it to different rooms. Now, one of the biggest advantages at the moment with this camera is being able to use the motion sensor. Like you can with any other HomeKit camera that's got a motion sensor, you can use it to trigger other scenes, notifications, or automations. Now, I tested it using my floodlight, which is connected to a smart plug, now to be triggered by motion events. This provided extra lighting. I already do this with my existing cameras. That's one idea you can use with HomeKit. At the time of making this review, HomeKit Secure Video is not available for this camera. However, Netatmo have said that HomeKit Secure Video will be coming on later in the year, and I believe them when they say that because they've already delivered it to their smart indoor camera. Now, at the moment, I think HomeKit is pretty limited because you only can view it, and I personally got more out of the native app than I did with HomeKit. Now, it's great this camera supports HomeKit, but it's going to be even better when HomeKit Secure Video is launched later on in the year. So let's get on to my conclusion for this review. If you're wanting a smart home camera that works with HomeKit, then the Netatmo Outdoor Camera is a suitable option, albeit an expensive one at £319. However, it does not need a subscription. So in order to use it and also for the storage, you don't need to pay anything extra. So over a year or two, then this could be paid back if you compare it to other cameras that have got a subscription model. However, that being said, as HomeKit Secure Video is adopted on more cameras and the subscription model that sits with manufacturers may not be a topic as we discussed today. However, HomeKit Secure Video does need to advance a little bit. And if we're expecting some of the things in iOS 14 to come for HomeKit, then some of the concerns that people have got with HomeKit Secure Video may go away. Yes, installation is a little bit tricky. And if you're not confident, you may need somebody else, a professional, to install its camera. But once you've done it once, you don't need to do it again. The motion detection works really well, although sometimes it can be a little bit slow to send the notification through. It's also great it supports HomeKit. Whilst it's limited at this moment in time, you can still use it for automations and for triggering scenes, especially with that motion detection. It's a shame though the Siren is not exposed to HomeKit, but hopefully that will be sorted out later on this year. Although it does work with HomeKit, I think it will be better later on this year when HomeKit Secure Video comes and you can make the choice between using a HomeKit Secure Video or the native security app. But I am disappointed that Netatmo has not upgraded some of the components. I think they could have done a little bit better with the camera and also upgraded the floodlight to something a bit brighter. However, that being said, it's still bright enough, but I'm a little bit disappointed they've not done that. I'm also a little disappointed they've not included a speaker for two-way audio. That would have been another great improvement as well as the Siren. So the key question here, is this camera worth it? Now, I'm on the fence with it. I really love the previous camera. I've had it on the front. I've also had it on my back garden, and that's where it's been for the last 12 months. It provides great protection and great notifications if anything is not right. It's also great with the floodlight. However, that being said, I don't personally need a Siren, so I don't think I will personally upgrade into this model. However, I want to be pretty clear on this. Just because I don't think the Siren's any good for me doesn't mean it's any good for you. You might have a perfect use case for using the Siren. You might think this camera is really good and having the Siren built in will certainly enhance your security experience. That being said, if you don't need the Siren, Netatmo have not discontinued the previous model, so you could also jump for that one as well. Ultimately, this is a solid camera. Now, it is expensive compared to its competitors. However, the subscription model is not needed for this camera. So that could negate the overall cost of ownership for the length that you have this camera. Now, this camera retails for £319 and it's available via Netatmo's own site. Now, other retailers will be stocking this camera in the next couple of weeks. So if you want to check them out, then just simply check Apple or Amazon or various other retailers to find the best pricing for this camera. Now, guys, that's the end of the review. Hopefully you found it interesting. Hopefully you got a lot out of it. If you have, give me a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe and also check out the rest of this channel or HomeKitAuthority.com for more HomeKit news, reviews, and tutorials. Thank you very much. I'll speak to you soon.